Hey ambitious professionals, it's Linda Rayner of lindarainer.com, guiding you to a career and life you'll truly enjoy. Now, if you are someone who tends to overthink, overanalyze, and worry a lot in your everyday life, then this video is for you. I'm going to be talking to you about why it is that you tend to do this, overanalyze, and how to stop doing this because it's actually hurting rather than helping you in your career and in your everyday life. As a career strategist, I've had the honor of being able to help numerous ambitious corporate professionals just like you to land their dream job offers. And if this is something that you're interested in working with me one-on-one, then I can give you details about that at the end of this video. Overthinking and overanalyzing is something that I have seen time and time again. I've seen it because I myself used to be guilty of overthinking and overanalyzing things, but I've become much better at it and much more aware. And then I also see it with my private one-on-one coaching clients who tend to think of the worst case scenario sometimes and love to ask what if scenario questions for situations that likely will never even happen. And if you're watching this video, you are likely the same way. For example, maybe you have a job interview coming up and you love to not only think about what questions they're potentially going to ask you, but then you also worry about random other situations that might come up. For example, you might ask yourself, what happens if I get this job offer and then another one comes at the same time? Or what happens if I take this job and I don't even like it later on? You know, these are questions that you really don't have any real solid answers to because they haven't happened yet and they're only possible scenarios. So we're going to talk about the 3 reasons why you tend to overanalyze and overthink, and then the 4 steps on how to overcome it. So let's get into it. The first reason why you tend to overanalyze is that you think worrying is productive. So this is the most common reason why most people tend to overanalyze and overthink, is because deep down inside of you, you have this belief that overthinking and overanalyzing is actually productive and is actually going to help you. It's somehow going to prepare you for all the different scenarios that you're coming up with in your head. That's what you believe. But the truth is far from that. And as long as you continue to think that your overthinking and overanalyzing pattern is productive, it'll never stop. So let me tell you what's actually happening to you when you do this. You think that you look productive, that you are productive, that you're being smart about everything when you overthink. But the reality, what's actually happening at work, for example, in front of your coworkers, in front of your managers, your boss, is that you actually don't appear to be someone who's productive. Someone who's an overanalyzer, overthinker actually comes across as someone who has low confidence, who doesn't have the ability to make their own decisions, and someone who is overly stressed out. Because of course, if you're thinking about the worst case scenarios, you're not looking relaxed. Therefore, people start to lose their confidence in someone who's like that because it just feels as though you're not able to come to your own decision. And the worst case scenario is that the consequences of your overthinking and overanalyzing habits can prevent you from getting promoted. Because again, leaders need to be able to make decisions. And if you're not able to make a decision, then unfortunately, you're not a leader. Now, potential reason number 2 why you tend to overthink is that you are afraid of regret. Now, this for me personally was my reason why I tended to overthink and overanalyze, because I was afraid of regret. I was afraid that I would make the wrong decision and then regret it for hours later. But what you have to remember is that living in this way, being afraid of regret, is putting yourself in a box. And that's what I did to myself. I was completely anxious when I had to make a major decision because I was constantly afraid of these types of regrets. I was afraid that I wouldn't be happy with my decision. And we're going to talk about how to overcome that. But that is likely a reason why you are someone who thinks of the worst case scenarios too, because you're afraid that whatever decision or path you go on, you're going to regret it. and that's just not the way to live. Now, reason number 3 why you overanalyze is potentially because you were taught to think this way. Maybe your mom or your dad or someone else in your family growing up taught you to overanalyze, taught you to overworry. Maybe you weren't so much someone who tended to overthink, but you got punished for not considering all the possible scenarios of a situation. Maybe your mom was an excessive worrier and she basically gave that energy to you. She taught you how to also excessively worry. So there's lots of different ways how this may come about in terms of becoming a pattern in how we live our everyday lives, but it is a possible scenario that someone you knew growing up taught you to be this way. But here's the good news. If this was something that you learned and you were taught, then it's also something that you can unlearn and that you can teach yourself to not do any longer. And I'm going to show you exactly how with 4 steps. So the first step in order to eliminate overanalyzing and overthinking is to feel your way through your decisions first. Note that I said feel, not think. Instead of thinking your way through, which is what overanalyzing is all about, it's just constantly thinking, you want to feel. Instead of just using your head, you want to use all of you that's available to you to make a decision. You want to sense what it feels like if you were to choose option A versus option B. You want to feel your way through. And this is a technique that a lot of successful people use in their everyday lives, in their careers and businesses to make decisions. It's called relying on your gut. So in order to know if a decision is the right one or not, you want to feel your way through and you want to ask yourself, do I feel a sense of opening and relaxed calm with this particular choice or option that I'm making? Or do I feel a sense of tension, a sense of tightness, a sense of constriction with that decision? If you don't feel fully relaxed and calm about it, then potentially it's not the right scenario or path that you need to pick. But if you feel good about it inside, it feels like the right decision for you, you feel calm and relaxed from within your entire body, then there's a good chance that that's the way to go. Step number 2, let go of your fear of regret. This is truly one of the biggest fears that hold us back from taking risks, from making choices in our lives, in our careers that potentially could rise us up to the next level. Many people are afraid that they're going to regret making such a decision, whether it's to take a different type of job in a different career path, or if it's to move to a certain city or country that's completely different from where they're at right now. There's a lot of fear around those types of decisions. And if people only rely on their fear, then that can hold them back from rising to that next level. So where to begin with releasing this fear? The first thing to do is to acknowledge that you actually have this fear of regret. And then the second thing is to make a decision. You simply just have to make a decision to say, I will no longer make my choices based on fear of regret. I'm going to make my choices based on whether it feels right for me and is in line with my values. If you can start to live by that belief, that will shift your entire perspective on the decisions that you have to make. Step number 3 is to trust in your own internal guidance. People overanalyze and overthink because at the end of the day, they don't trust in themselves. They don't trust in their own abilities to make their own decisions. And that is something that really needs to change. You need to trust that you have all the tools and all the knowledge within you to be able to make any sort of decision wisely. And if you don't know the answer, of course you're going to ask questions, but you're not going to think about all the things that are going to go wrong. You're going to think about the things that will go right as long as you do the right action steps. What you emanate to others is what others will reflect back to you. If you trust yourself, if you believe in your own ability to make your decisions and you make them, and even if they end up being the wrong decisions, you can always change course, you can always move directions, you can always improve on the decisions that you made. And finally, step number 4 on how to overcome overanalyzing and overthinking is to not give yourself too much time to make a decision. So you might think in order to stop yourself from overanalyzing, you need to take time to make a decision, to feel your way through and talk about all the steps I just talked about. But the truth here is no. In order to become someone who stops overanalyzing, you need to give yourself less time to make a decision, because then you can really rely on your gut, you can rely on your own internal guidance to make that decision, rather than overthinking and thinking through all the different scenarios and all the different possibilities that could happen. That's what happens when people take too much time. Cut yourself off, give yourself just the right amount of time, make your decision, and move forward with that. So there you have it. Those are my 3 reasons why you tend to overanalyze and my 4 steps on how to overcome it. I hope that was helpful to you. Now, if you are someone who is currently on the hunt for a new position and you haven't been having much success with your interviews, or you haven't been getting any interviews at all, and you realize that you need more specific guidance, then feel free to check out all of my free resources. I have a free resume mastery workshop. The link is down in the description box below. I also have a free interview strategy workshop, which is brand new and is available to you right now. Also, the link is in the description box down below. And otherwise, if you feel that you need one-on-one professional guidance from me, then feel free to head on over to my website, lindarainer.com/standoutgethired, and fill in the application form. And from there, one of my team members will reach out to you if they feel that we are a potential match. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.